Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unskilled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. Thank you for joining us. As always, we appreciate it. When you like us online, when you like us on the Facebook, I don't know, Instagram.
You just
and all the
dated
other
us.
ones. Joining me, as always, my co-explorer, Amy Long.
Hi.
And, we are looking at travel tech trends, the things that are happening right now, the things that are going on, the advancements we've had over the last few years, and where people think we're going here over the next few years, and what it means and why, importantly, why things are trending in this direction. And it's very interesting. Later on in the show, we are going to speak to the CEO of Matador Network, Ross Borden. We're going to talk to him about their brand new travel AI, their brand new travel artificial intelligence. Basically, it's like a travel assistant. Mm-hmm. It's called GuideGeek, and it's really, really cool. So we're going to talk to him. We're also going to talk to Michael Motamedi, whose family is actually using GuideGeek to transverse the world right now. They're 6 months in on a journey that's going to take them around the world in a year, or to various countries in a year, I should say. And they're using GuideGeek as their main source of information. And it's really cool how it's being utilized. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. But, I don't know how much you guys went on trips. I've heard stories. Right. I've heard legends, legendary trips of your journeys. But how often did you guys, with your grandparents or with your parents, really hit the road when you were younger?
About once a year, we'd go on a road trip.
Yeah.
And then we would take, I would say maybe a second time a year, a much shorter trip, maybe a couple of hours away to go camping or something. But once a year, we did a big family road trip during the summer, usually from Texas to Florida. Mm-hmm. But at that point, travel tech was not a thing. We didn't have that.
Well, that's a good lead-in. If you remember anything, how did they usually go about planning these things?
With the old paper map. My grandparents, they had an RV, and every year after my grandpa retired, they would go on a 6-week road trip around the U.S. And so they had one of those very big leather booklets of bound maps. And so it would have a map of the entire U.S., and then it had one for pretty much every state behind it. So they would map out where they wanted to go on the first one, and then they'd go to that particular state and get down into the individual roads they needed to take.
Two very good sources, right? So you had the old, one company was Rand McNally, probably the biggest ones. You could never, once you unfolded the map,
you could never refold it.
You could never get it refolded ever again. And then also, you mentioned RVs and how much I'm sure RVs have changed.
Yeah.
The wild technologies that are on RVs now compared to 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, there was no technology on that. It was just a standard, like you just drive it and there's this giant RV attached. But now, you and I have taken a look at a few, and it's like a spaceship inside there with all the technology.
You're talking satellite TVs and some of them have hot tubs, and some of them are nicer than, nicer than homes.
Right, it has its own Wi-Fi hotspot and stuff that we never would have conceived.
And now that kind of stuff is becoming standard.
Right.
Like that is what we demand if we're going to go out and do it. They do still have, Airstreams and very simplified, minimalistic things for people who want to do that. But these gigantic, some of them are stretching 60 feet.
Yeah.
These are homes on wheels, not recreational vehicles anymore, but homes on wheels.
Luxury homes on wheels.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Granite countertops and things like that. And we've demanded more and more of these companies because we want these better experiences. We work hard for our money. And by gosh, if I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to want it. I want X, Y, and Z for it. And then there's subtle changes in technology. Mm-hmm. Right now, if you've gone to any Hilton or Marriott Bonvoy, Marriott account or anything like that, most hotels now offer a digital check-in. Mm-hmm. They offer a digital key which is a replacement for a physical key.
Where it's on your phone?
It goes through the app on your phone, so it can unlock your door, lock your door. The next wave of that technology looks like it's coming to like personalizing your experience while you're at that hotel, meaning you can go in and change the lighting in your room through the app.
Through the app,
You
wow.
can change the air conditioning or the heating or anything. They want it to be as comfortable and tuned into you as humanly possible.
Right.
I should say humanly possible through this technology. And that's like one area where it's just kind of these subtle changes. Now, this is not anything new, and it's not in all hotels. So we're kind of right in that middle spot where,
Right.
you know, it's trickling down. And
I
it's
did
kind of fun.
go into a hotel in 2019. I was looking at some hotels to do an event at, and I went into a very nice hotel in Chicago, and they took us to their standard rooms. And I noticed as soon as I walked in, there was an iPad on the counter, and I was like, "Oh, somebody left their iPad." And they were like, "No, an iPad comes with every room. This is how you control the lights. This is how you turn on the TV. This is how you open the blinds and the curtains." And I was blown away in 2019. And we'd had iPads for a while by that point, but that hotels were making these standard in rooms to control everything. So, and like a smart house, but it's a smart hotel room.
Exactly. And that's kind of like the Internet of Things. They call it IoT technologies, where it's all in one place where you can control it. I mean, now they have mood lighting and things. And it's not just like hotel rooms. Also, there's a rideshare company called Alto. Alto in their app can, you know, it suggests, it's like the next level of Uber, right? It suggests mood lighting. It suggests like if you want loud music, soft music, what kind of vibe you want. If you want the driver to talk or not talk, or, you know,
It's truly
if you wanna chill-
personalizing that service.
the next wave of travel technology is that personalized feel, because that's what we've come to demand from our travel experiences as they do more and more research, as more and more of your big data is shared and it is collected, you know, and people feel a certain way about that, but for at least the travel industry, they're using that to try to customize and personalize as much of the experience from the time you leave your house to the time you come back, catered to you and what you want to experience the entire way. It's kind of mind blowing when you look at it.
Well, and saying everybody has thoughts and feelings on this. You and I traveled somewhere last year. I'm not going to name the hotel we were at, but we wanted to make reservations at one of the restaurants. So I called down to the front desk from our room because I couldn't find any information on the restaurant, like how do I make a reservation? Is there a phone number? So I called down to the front desk and they told me, "Oh, send us a message through the app."
Yeah.
And me, being a very customer service oriented person, was like, "Well, can't you just make the reservation for me right now? We're talking on the phone." And they said, "No, you have to send it in through the app." So to me, it's like, yeah, that's convenient, but I think it's kind of also taking away a little bit of that face-to-face interaction.
People will always want some level of face-to-face. And I know that the reason that a lot of these technologies are trending this way, the tech is trending this way, is to try to make it more efficient, where it is like you're talking to humans when you need things. We've gone through like the Marriott Bonvoy app, where you can request more towels to your room, more pillows to your room, and not have to deal with a person, because people who are checking into hotels and things of that level are busy.
Right.
They're doing other things. They don't always have time to relay those messages. Now this goes directly, cuts through layers and goes directly to people. Now, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Like you said, people have very strong feelings when it comes to technology, AI, what it means, where it's going. We're going to explore more of that. Contactless technology. It's all trending. Biometrics. We're talking all things travel, tech, trends into this episode. It's Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler, coming to you from the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. We're so glad that you're here. Are those new shoes? Come on, man. Those make you look fast. Those must be magic shoes. I like it.
Do they light up?
Yeah, man. Don't you give me no light up shoes, man. I'll burn your backyard down. That's how fast I was as a kid. Come on. We're talking, I don't know. We're talking travel technologies, the trends, where it's headed, why it's headed, and the direction that it's headed. Not everyone feels the same way about it. Some people are like, they yell at clouds, but you know me. I'm an early adapter to things. I've always tried to, keep that about me. So I'm liking it. I like, we when we left off, we were talking about contactless payments. Now, most systems now, they offer some kind of contactless payment, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic. Contactless solutions really kind of blew up.
Right.
And it made, if they didn't blow up, it made more people keenly aware of them. There are, right here in town at the Allegiant Stadium where the Las Vegas Raiders play, the entire stadium is contactless. They're cashless.
Yes. Yeah.
They only do card taps and like phone taps, Apple Pay, things of that nature. The first time we went in and we realized it was cashless, it almost kind of, it perturbed me a little bit.
A little bit, but it was fine because the technology was working great and we had a card in our pocket that we could tap. But do you recall, maybe a month later, the system went down? Yeah,
we were attending I brought our kids to a WWE event. It was like SummerSlam or something like that for professional wrestling of all things. And the entire system went down at the beginning of the show.
So that means no concessions, no merch, nothing. You can't buy anything.
No, they couldn't accept payments for anything until almost the very end of the show by the time they got it rebooted, because you're talking a massive system, right?
Right.
So they were giving away as much food as they could without, losing money, I guess. And no merch sales. And it was, from that standpoint, that when you look at stuff like that, you go, wow, that's a disaster as far as money is concerned for that company. But that's just one of those trade-offs.
Right. Like technology is great when it works the way it's intended.
When it works the way it is intended. Another one you probably notice if you traveled anytime in the last couple of years, or if you have trips coming up, you'll notice biometric scanning. Now, biometric scans are now with like Clear. If you use the line skipping app Clear to go through.
We love Clear.
I love Clear. Please, Clear, give us money. If you want to get through like TSA here in at least the United States, or using biometrics, reading your data, scanning your eyes, using your fingertips, even if you use like global entry. Yeah. For people who travel in and out of the United States. They take a picture of your face and it does whatever technology does. And a lot of times you don't even have to show physical boarding pass.
No.
And I hear a lot of airlines are really considering doing away with it.
Well, we've done it a few times on international trips too, where instead of scanning your boarding pass to get on the plane, it is a biometrics and it automatically pulls up your boarding information for the gate agent, and then they let you walk on, which is a little bit freaky because where are they getting that information from?
They collecting it left and right, man. Like, they already got mine. That's why I'm all in. I'm like, look, there ain't nothing about me Google don't already know, baby. So let's dial it up to a 10. Another thing is the implementation of augmented or virtual reality, and including that funny word that popped up a couple years ago, thanks to Facebook, but the metaverse. Yeah. These internet social gatherings, they can recreate places like the Grand Canyon or the Scottish Highlands or things of that nature. And you can virtually meet up with your friends in this place. And it is so lifelike and so real that you're having a meeting in an old Scottish castle without actually having to be there.
So it's faux travel?
It's augmented reality.
I get the
bending,
concept.
like you're Neo It is the Matrix, and you were actually in it. But there's no killer robots unless you want the killer robots.
You know how I feel about robots. So.
Speaking of robots, we're going to talk about robots later because robots do have a place, and they are being, well, pardon the pun, they are being rolled out into travel and different situations. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. But why? Why are we moving in that direction? Hilton released just a short time ago their 2024 travel trends report, which a lot of people in the industry follow, showing that the makeup of the modern traveler is evolving like it should. Like, you know, that's not really a big surprise, but the way it's evolving is kind of surprising people. 85% of the people looked at in this report want to prioritize experiences over destinations, really. 81% of those wanting to explore the unknown, things, trying local cuisines that they've never tried. Now, people say it a lot, like, I want to immerse myself in local cultures and I want to try different things, but they don't often know where to begin a lot of times.
Right.
If you don't know the names of the local foods and you don't know what
right.
It's one thing to go and Google best restaurants in the area. It's another thing to ask a real virtual, like, travel assistant, tell me how to get to this. You know, tell me how can I find a cooking class in a local villager's house in order to really get that local immersive cultural experience, rather than just say, give me the this country's version of the Big Mac here in McDonald's.
I mean, it sounds cool because, yes, when you travel, you're like, I want to learn about the local culture. And a lot of times you do that still from kind of an arm's length because you are a tourist. You don't tend to go outside of heavy tourist trafficking areas because, you know, for safety and just for your own comfort. So I can see where travel tech that would say, okay, these are safe places for you to go if you want to, like, immerse yourself in a locals type of community. Yeah. But how accurate is it, and how do they know if it's safe? These are the questions I have when it comes to this.
That's the wild part about this next wave. We're used to dealing with chatbots, and Google has gotten very good at what they do as far as local searches in a broad sense. The next wave, who we're going to talk to in this next segment, Ross Borden, the CEO at Matador Network, and their brand new travel AI, their travel assistant, is called GuideGeek. And it is not an app. It is something you pull up in WhatsApp and Instagram and a number of other places. And it takes these guides and live information to feed it directly to you so that you can pick the very best experiences for you and your family in real time. And you're going to hear all about it when we come back, right? Yeah. Why? Why is it doing it? It's so crazy to even think about. But, hey, people want these authentic travel experiences to ensure that they have memorable stays because people are prioritizing, experiences over everything else. So when we come back, Ross Borden, CEO of Matador Network, GuideGeek. We're going to have more. Keep it right here, Unscaled Travel Network. Travel Show. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. It's Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. I want to thank you all so much for taking the time to hop on the socials. We appreciate the follows and the shares every time you do it. It really helps us out. Got to pay those bills, man. We have been talking the entire episode about artificial intelligence, about how the next steps are coming. And last year, midsummer or so, Matador Network, one of the leading travel publishers in the entire world, launched GuideGeek. It is their personal AI travel assistant. It got a lot of hype, and here to share more about it with us, CEO of Matador Network, Ross Borden. Ross, how you doing today, man?
I'm great. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Tell us a little bit about, for those who may not know yet, tell us a little bit about GuideGeek, how it's designed to help travelers, and really why it came to be and why you guys decided to pivot in this direction.
Yeah, so it wasn't as much of a pivot as just a total experiment. I mean, we are still doing what we do in terms of creating videos, articles, guides for travel and adventure all over the world, and working with a ton of brands in the process. So our business hasn't changed much, but it's been successful, and that's given us the ability to try new things. We got kind of early access to the OpenAI LLM, the same language model that ChatGPT is based around. We started playing with it, and I think like most people when they first play with ChatGPT, they're pretty amazed at how powerful it is, how fast it is, and how wide-reaching it is, how much it knows about all different kinds of things. And so we obviously went for travel, us being travel people. We started experimenting with travel questions, and then really started to think about like, how could this best be utilized? We loved the chat feature. And so, the fact that you can go back and forth and converse with it and narrow down or change an itinerary or make small adjustments or ask very specific questions. And so we thought, what better place to unleash this AI than WhatsApp? Because we've, as travelers, a lot of people still in the US are not on WhatsApp, but WhatsApp runs really the entire world outside the US. And we've always thought it's kind of like the most elegant chat experience and chat interface. So we started with WhatsApp, then we released it and started spreading like wildfire. Like from day one, we sent it out to a couple of our influencers to give it a try. And then we've been getting, many thousands of new users every day since then. We also launched on Instagram. So the Instagram account is guidegeek.ai. That's the handle. And you could just, chat with it in the DMs, send it a direct message. It'll introduce itself as GuideGeek, and then you can go from there.
How has the response so far been from travelers and your users?
I mean, it's been pretty amazing. We've seen people. It's a very sticky product, so people come back over and over. I think when people first play with it, they kind of like maybe they're skeptical or they just want to test how accurate or how powerful it is. So they start asking questions that they know the answers to. So they ask it questions about their hometown, places they know really well, and then I think you can see them sort of immediately impressed, and then they're like, all right, so how about road trip ideas for this weekend, 5 people. Here are the ages of my kids. Like you start going into detail and it actually gets more and more impressive in just how granular it can get in terms of building an itinerary. Also, we've connected APIs. So we have live flight info. So you can just ask it flights and it will go find the best, fastest, and cheapest flight options. That's through our partnership with Skyscanner. We have hotels. We've just kind of figured out vacation rentals and Airbnbs. So I think very quickly people see that it can just save a ton of time.
No, you brought up an interesting point that I don't want people to miss. Now, you're saying like this may differ a little bit than regular search engines that we have now. I think over the last decade, people have gotten used to things like Alexa and Siri and these kind of AI companions. But you said GuideGeek can actually like find live information, help you book flights that are happening right now and things of that. How do things like that help separate it from, like the Alexas and the Sirs, or God help us, the Cortanas of the world?
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, I guess like comparing ChatGPT, for example, we have Google at home, and you talk to, hey Google, ask a question. Sure. Same with Siri, same with Alexa. I think like ChatGPT is leaps and bounds more sophisticated than these systems in terms of its accuracy, its understanding of natural language. So that's one thing. So just being on GPT-4, much more sophisticated experience, and the AI is just a ton more powerful than something like Alexa or Siri. What good is an AI travel agent if it doesn't have access to real-time information? So yeah, that was big, plugging in the APIs. Not only do we have flights and hotels, we have weather. So you can say, what's the weather in Madrid next Tuesday? That's not going to OpenAI. That's going to our weather partner. And we're going to pull real-time data for weather. We have currency conversions. And we've also figured out how to index our site. So, we've got 80,000 articles and videos on matadornetwork.com. It's all content that we've worked really hard on. That's from our army of writers and photographers and filmmakers all over the world. So that's really high quality content. So it's also trained on that private data set. So you combine that with the power of OpenAI and the rest of the language model, the fact that it's read every restaurant review, every hotel review. It's watched every video, combine it with that power, and you get something that's a lot more compelling than any other AI, at least for travel.
I live in Las Vegas, where things change rapidly. What was open a couple of months ago may not be open now. How up to date is the information coming from GuideGeek? How accurate is that information? And is there a team that kind of stays on top of it, or how does that work?
Yeah, good question. So there's two problems with AI. There's one is the fact that it's got old information. When GPT-3 launched, you only had information up until September of 2021. So that's super outdated.
Mm-hmm.
GPT-4 now much better information, much more up to date. And then the other thing is called hallucinations, where the AI just straight up makes up something that's not true. So it doesn't have an answer, and it will just straight up lie to you. And so that's obviously a huge problem. And I've noticed that more where it's a very specific thing, and you're asking in a very specific small town. It doesn't have an answer when you ask it for an ice cream parlor in some tiny town in Idaho, and so it will just make up some like funny play on words for an ice cream parlor, and maybe tell you a long lie about the people who founded it. So we were kind of blown away by that, and it's hilarious when it happens, but not hilarious if you're actually depending on the information.
Right.
So that was happening. One of those two things when we started were happening about 14% of conversations. Which is way too much, obviously. So now we're under 3% total errors. That's
Wow.
hallucinations plus out of date information. And the main way that we got there, or included in that 14%, where the AI would just get stuck. It would just kind of like, it wouldn't understand what the person's asking for, and it would repeat itself again and be that annoying chatbot that everyone's had like a bad experience with. So all of those three things combined, we're about 14% of conversations. Now we've got it under 3%. And basically the way we got there, the way we improved it, is we hired 4 people to read hundreds of thousands of conversations and, figure out where are the problems, identify the problems, and then fix them through our engineering team with code and fixes and, different ways that we handle the information. So, my hat's off to that team. They've literally read hundreds of thousands of user conversations. And in doing so, our AI is now, we think the best on the internet for travel, because it's now under 3% total errors.
When people set out, if they're going to try it out for their next journey, or if they're already out somewhere and they want to try out GuideGeek, how do they find it? How do they plug in to see what you guys have going on?
Yeah, the super important thing I should mention is not an app. A lot of people are like, I don't see you guys in the App Store. So it's just guidegeek.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said earlier, it's free for everyone to use. You can just scan the QR code and it will open in either Instagram, WhatsApp, and we just launched on Facebook Messenger. So on any of the Meta platforms, it's available, but guidegeek.com is where to go to connect.
Ross Borden, CEO of Matador Network, thank you so much for taking time to help answer some questions about GuideGeek. And, we can't wait to talk with you down the future and see you the next iterations of both the Guide and Matador Network.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate you having me.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. Joined by me and my co-explorer here, Amy Long.
Hi.
We're talking travel, tech, trends, where it's going, why it's going there. When we left off, what a great interview. Also, thank you so much to Ross Borden, really kind of opening up to what it is. I mean, GuideGeek started out as just this crazy experiment off of the back of OpenGPT, which, is the base for
OpenAI
and
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. It's a combination. Get out of here. Just like I called it the Unscaled Travel Network. We're all go. You're dreaming big. When we mentioned that people want these authentic travel experiences to to help make memorable stays at places, meaning like, they want to have these experiences of like learning about conservation alongside maybe scientists in South America as they travel, or these cooking classes, like I mentioned, with real locals, not just chefs who have moved in and have opened up a restaurant, but people who actually fix that cuisine every single day,
Right.
and something that they can take back with them.
Yeah.
These memories and everything, but also trying to make themselves better travelers and world citizens, basically. If you can kind of picture that in your mind. And so, AI tools like ChatGPT and these virtual assistants like GuideGeek are becoming, along with like any other machine learning technologies, they are expected by the year 2025 to add another $1 trillion to the global touristy kind of economics of everything, simply by helping people in real time make these decisions that they otherwise wouldn't make. So, I got to also speak to Michael Motamedi. Michael is a husband and a father, and he and his family, his wife and his 2-year-old daughter, were the ones who signed up with Matador Network to live test, basically, GuideGeek. So the premise is they were going to devote a year of their life to letting GuideGeek make almost every single decision about where they travel, how long they stay, where they eat, everything involved in that. So it's a really, really great conversation. I'm going to play you a clip though, because people always have questions about, like what happens in real time. Anyone can Google anything. No, this is talking about taking the next step and how can this help you make decisions today, or maybe on your way to the airport or on your way to the restaurant, about the things that are happening around you, what it means, and how they've utilized it so far. So check this out. So let's talk, you guys are using it while you're out on the road now. Tell us about, I guess, the user experience of getting live information from GuideGeek, like finding flights and up-to-date weather and things like that. How has that been so far? And is that a practical use for the GuideGeek?
Yeah, it's definitely evolving every single day. Somewhat in part by the information that it gets from users, specifically me, for example. But it's also just updating itself, and they're really putting a lot of time, effort, and money into making this like the all and be all for travel guide AI assistant. They've implemented live flight information. I haven't used it too much, but I actually used it once, which was awesome. I ended up booking a flight in a taxi on the way to the airport. One morning we woke up and we were in the mood for some pasta. We were in Montenegro. They don't, no offense to Montenegro, they don't have the best pasta. So we go to GuideGeek and we're like, listen, where should we get the best pasta? Like, hey, why don't you fly over to Rome for a day? I'm like, okay. We jump into the cab. In the cab, we look up the flights. It categorizes by fastest, cheapest, etc. So it's really easy to understand. We booked the flights in the cab on the way to the airport, landed in Rome, had some amazing food at a restaurant, returned the next day. This is what I mean by memories. Like, it's pushing you to live outside of your comfort zone, right? And in what world would you Google, hey, where can I find some good pasta? And it would say, hey, why don't you jump on a flight and go to Rome? You're only an hour away. I wouldn't even have thought of that.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Like, honestly, who would? In the old days, it wouldn't be possible, or it could. You could just show up at the airport and just see where it would take you. And people have done that and everything. But this is putting it right in your hands at, like you said, in the cab on the way to the airport and giving you all the updated information. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, and usually, let's say you Google where's the best pasta or where can I get the best pasta within an hour or something, whatever your prompt may be, or your question to Google in the past would be. It'd say like, hey, there's the traditional, Mama's Pizza in Montenegro or something. Why don't you go check that out? It's an hour away. It's not going to say, Google's not going to tell you, hey, why don't you actually think outside the box? Why don't you jump on the flight? They're actually pretty cheap. It was like $69, by the way. Okay.
Jeez.
Fly in the morning and come back in the afternoon. Right. It's freaking amazing, dude.
Yeah. it is amazing to talk about happening in real time, giving you flight information, also weather information in real time, not just, through their partnerships working with GuideGeek. So it is worth going and checking out both of those interviews. You can find them fullmetaltraveler.com. Listen to both of them. They were a little too long to air in entirety on the show, but it is rather fascinating how quickly it's coming up and how quickly the information is being processed. And what's next is just mind blowing. This helps also with, you might think about like businesses and how they're using it. We were on a cruise not too long ago with Celebrity Ascent, and one of their main focuses was talking about sustainability and their next generation of ships, talking about using the information, the artificial intelligence they have on board their ships now to further fuel where they're going with biofuels, renewable biofuels, and situations like that to make their ships cleaner and more efficient.
Yeah, weren't they even talking about how they use AI in their kitchens and their dining areas to prompt the back of house on what to make next?
Absolutely.
So that the back of house isn't just continuously making food that isn't being eaten. So they're using it more as a monitoring tool and to cut back on food waste, which is incredible because if anybody that's been on a cruise, that it's just so much food. And if you really think about it, there's a lot of food waste. So this is Celebrity's idea of how to be a little more responsible with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And even things like partially charging up their ships to be like powered by electric power going forward.
Really?
Same with airplanes. Same with a lot of these companies that have put these standards down as far as reducing their carbon footprints and what they plan on doing and how they go about still offering a great level of service and still offering all these amenities while also making themselves good planetary partners and saying, look, man, we're going to travel to the Caribbean, but instead of just dropping you off, we're going to make it more efficient in how we bring you to shore. Once we get there, how we source food with farmers locally. And that's thanks to technology being able to track and, use all this big data about what we do, what our trends are as travelers, and how it can help really shape.
Did you ever think that travel would come to that though? That people would be tracking like how much you ate, what you were eating, and telling the company, okay, well, you need to buy more of these particular groceries to make more of these meals because this is what's being consumed more.
Or that we would seriously be looking down the barrel of having carbon footprint
Tracking.
carbon footprint, there you go, trackers on our phone to measure our own, how we interact with the world around us, where we're going. And I promised you robots.
You did.
So robots, and this one hits pretty close to home. Robots are being used at select Sheraton properties in Los Angeles. They're now being used to handle baggage, bringing the baggage up to your room. Security. Now, we have security robots here in Vegas. We've had those for a couple of years. Yes, we do. And also providing directions and room service.
Really?
As well. When you go in,
I'm not a fan of robots.
I don't want robots messing with my luggage.
No.
That's where I draw the line.
And some places, some businesses, they have those robots that greet you. And you can check in on it's basically an iPad that rolls up to you. But you can check in on it. You can go to a directory. You can see a map, things like that. Yeah. And it's cool, but it's just a little bit outside of my comfort zone, to be honest. Because what if this thing starts following me around and I don't want it to?
Well, you don't want to hear that they have these robots now that if you ask it, hey, where's this restaurant or whatever, it'll actually guide you.
Yeah, no.
Walk you to the restaurant and make sure you get where you're going.
I mean, there's the food delivery robots.
Sure.
They freak me out.
Travel, tech trends, and everything like that. We thank you for your time. Thanks for showing up. It's the Unskilled Travel Show. Be nice to robots. We'll see you next time.